Hello, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to go over 5 fears that can destroy an artist. What are you afraid of? Good question. Boy, I thought there was more than 5, but maybe I've lived through too many of them. I'm a little scarred up at this point. But anyway, that is the deal, and this is what we're talking about. 5 killer things that will kill your art. My name is Jeff Mohr. I'm the Northwoods Carver, and thanks for seeing what I saw. Okay, let's get right down to it. This article that I'm going to be reviewing is from Skinny Artist, Live Your Art. And it's 5 fears that can destroy an artist. Let's see what he has to say. Number 1, self-doubt. What if I'm not good enough? It's a good question. What if I'm not good enough? All right, well, let's see what he has to say here. This is probably the number 1 fear of any creative professional. After all, we are not creating necessities, but luxuries for the most part. As much as our art enriches our lives and the lives of others, it remains something that we, at least as consumers, could probably live without. He says, I also worry that at some point, I'll give up on making a living with art. I have this mental image of being 65 and having my grandkids find a crate in the attic with all my drawings in it. They'd be like, I didn't know Gramp could draw. Why is he working at Jiffy Lube? Deviant art forums. Interesting. When money's tight, luxuries such as purchasing books, music, tickets to performances, and artwork, well, they're often the first to go. We're not doctors, teachers, or even farmers. We don't create or provide a service that people can't live without. As artists, we're well aware of this fact, which only seems to fuel our sense of doubt. At times, we can't help but feel, well, expendable. I agree. So that was I'm just going to comment on this real quick. That was the biggest thing that I struggled with coming up, because I didn't have the clientele that I currently have, that I really enjoy, seriously enjoy, but before it was very rough, and I was trying to be like everybody else here, just go to a gas station and carve and get their money. Well, I live in a little stingier area for that, and it just wasn't working out, and I was really panicking. I had kids in school, and I had bills, and got to keep the lights on, and keep gas in the truck and everything functioning as any fully functional adult would have to do, but I had to do it, making cheesy chainsaw carvings on the side of the road. And it wasn't cutting it for me. That was not my bag. I could not get my head around, doing 3 or 4 things over and over again. And I'm sure if I would have stuck it out, I would have been fine, but my burnt out brain said no. All right, moving on. What if no one wants to buy my work? Well, that's the question of the hour, or however long this takes. Well, I guess you'll never know unless you make it. You can't sell it, right? Unless you make it. He goes on to say, the cure for self-doubt, surprisingly not success. The world is filled with famous and successful artists, writers, and musicians that are still riddled with depression and feelings of self-doubt. Imagine that. I've been doing this for 35 years. And I'm riddled with it because I want to enjoy my life. And art is part of that, but I really want to enjoy my life. I want to go see my grandkids. I want to ride my Harley. I want to spend time with my dogs. I want to be able to mill some wood, just to get it, get the piles knocked down. There's so many logs out there. But I don't have time, and I'd rather be doing that sometimes. A lot of times. I'd just rather be out walking in the park with my wife. And here we are, filled with doubt because of our success, and then we just get burnt out. I just did a video on burnout not too long ago, but yeah. Moving on. Unfortunately, for the majority of us, this is not something that ever completely goes away. Instead, we have to find a way to live with this doubt and value the creative process as much as the work itself. I think the creative process is it's fun to think about things, and for myself personally, I can understand that, but I like the creative process. Like, it could mean a lot of different things. So, it doesn't really matter if it's directed specifically at chainsaw carving. It could be any amount of different things, in my opinion. But, who am I? All right, number 2. I'm not original enough. Someone else is doing it better. While it may be true that all the great themes in art and literature have already been done before 1,000 times over, it's always possible to bring something entirely new to the process. Let's face it, writers and artists have been borrowing from their creative ancestors since there has been a thing called art. Even Shakespeare borrowed almost all of his work from other writers, but in the end, there is little question that he made them distinctively his own. The saying here is, those who do not want to imitate anything produce nothing. Salvador Dali. All right, so he says, stop trying to consistently reinvent the wheel. Instead, use it, learn from it, model it, and then create your own version of it. Don't worry about being seen as an imitator. We have all learned our art from those who came before us. Embrace it and create a version of it that's true for you. Number 3, people won't take me seriously as an artist. Art is a hobby and not a real job. Right. Heard that before. I'm afraid that my friends and family will be disappointed in me. The truth is that your career as an artist is only as serious as you take it. Do you work at it like your job, or do you only work at it occasionally as your hobby? How much work do you really put into it daily? If you were a boss, would you pay yourself for the effort that you're currently making? Having to deal with you, friends and family, especially parents, can be particularly tough when it comes to them seeing you as a working artist. The bottom line, however, is that they will take you and your art as seriously as they see you taking it. In other words, if they see you putting in 10 to 15 hours a day, day after day, working not only on your art, but marketing your art as well, they'll begin to see you as a working artist rather than just their kid who does art. Sit down there on that stump, let me tell you something. This is good. You know, I've said this to my own kids, and I've also said it to my students about being taken seriously. And the people that come here to the Carver's Cambia, they are the guys and gals that are serious. You know, they want to take it to the next level, and it's one good way to shut people up. Is he serious? Is she serious? Are they really going to do this? And then they go off to this cornfield in Wisconsin, and they take some time with me and help figure them some of those mysteries out. I think it's the best way to do it, actually. I mean, it's like going to college. You know, if you're a high school graduate, or even if you're not a high school graduate, you can still go to my college. Everybody's welcome. So there you go. Number 4, people will steal my work or my ideas. One of the biggest fears that artists have when I ask them about selling their work online is that they are afraid that people are going to steal their work or their ideas. While there's no doubt this does happen, far too many artists are using this as an excuse to stay out of the online marketplace altogether. You know, in the chainsaw carving world, I'm sure if anybody's listening out there, they can agree that pretty much everybody at some point seems to be borrowed from. And it's true, you know, some people are. It's one thing if you just blatantly steal an image, a photograph, and then put your face next to it, or, you know, just steal it, you know, commandeer it, and then, you know, sweep it under the rug and just tell everybody it's yours, and, you know, and that's one thing. But borrowing a technique or, you know, something like that, I think that's going to happen as par for the course. And it would be, like they said up there, if you're not out there borrowing to create, then you're not creating anything, right? So although this is certainly a real problem, you also have to realize that these artistic parasites are a very small minority of the online population. 98% of the people looking at your work online have no intent of stealing your work. They are simply enjoying it, and maybe, just maybe, they might be interested in buying it. If you think about it, if you're an accomplished artist, look at the percentage of people in the United States that are comparable to what you are capable of. And, there's probably not a gigantic line, people getting in line to go and sample your work and try to rip you off. So that's just my opinion. Apparently that's this guy's opinion too. Number 5, my work is never as good as I imagined it would be. No artist is ever completely satisfied with their work. Some pieces you will always like better than others, but the pursuit of perfection is only a mirage that keeps you from moving on. Art is never finished, only abandoned. Leonardo DiCaprio? No, I don't think it was Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo da Vinci said that. All right, let's get that square. At some point, however, you have to let it go and move on. You have to accept the fact that even the greatest authors, composers, musicians, and artists were still unsatisfied with their masterpieces in some way. Perfection is an illusion that will eventually consume you if you let it. Think of each piece that you create as a stepping stone on a much longer journey. You will never get to the next stage of development as an artist unless you are willing to set that piece aside and move on to the next. Just let it go. Live your art. Okay, well that's it. So this is about the author. This I like this guy's content. It's wonderful. Just check him out. It's Drew. Drew is a writer, teacher, and head custodian of Skinny Artist Creative Community. You can also find him online at outmatchfitness.com, where he writes about fitness, nutrition, and his continuing battle with Father Time. Well, that's about it, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. These are things that I talk about all the time, but it's really nice to pick up an article and, see some of those things reflected from other walks of life. My perspective and this perspective are spot on. It was wonderful making this little showgram, this little whatever this is, on my little YouTube channel. This has been Jeff Mohr. I'm the Northwoods Carver, and I'll see you on the next one.
Gross. What was that?